I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. At last Wednesday's House Judiciary Committee hearing, Ohio Republican Jim Jordan demanded to know who invited gun control activist and Parkland school shooting survivor David Hogg into the hearing. Hogg had disrupted a hearing on a gun control bill and had to be escorted out. Jordan demanded that Democrats reveal who had allowed Hogg in, repeatedly pressing acting committee chair Zoe Lofgren amidst a debate on an amendment on a veterans-related bill.
Asked to strike the last word.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I want to strike the last word. I want to talk about a number of things. First of all, I support the gentleman's amendment from Wisconsin. It's a good amendment. Second, to the previous speaker, the Republicans offered an amendment to protect victims of domestic violence twice. We offered it, Mr. Massey offered it 2 months ago to the red flag bill that the majority passed, and then he offered it again last week on the so-called assault weapons ban that the majority passed. So we've talked about that extensively, and the Democrats voted it down both times. But my main reason for seeking some time was actually to engage in a question for the chair, if I could. I raised this with Chairman Nadler a week ago. We had, during the assault weapons ban markup, during that hearing, we had a gentleman from the audience disrupt the proceedings of the hearing. And I asked Mr. Nadler at the time, who invited this individual, who met him at the door, escorted him to the committee room, who did that? And he didn't give me an answer. And I was wondering if the majority may have an answer for the minority. We know no one from our side met this individual, no one's office met this individual at the door and escorted him into the committee room. And I was wondering if the majority had an answer to that question today.
Mr. Jordan, I don't know.
Are you in the process of figuring that out, Madam Chair?
I have no idea, so I am unable to answer your question.
Madam Chair, who chairs the House Administration Committee that has these rules and is responsible for how things operate here on Capitol Hill?
As you know, individual staffers from all 435 offices can and do escort visitors in. I do not know who escorted that person in.
Is that something that the House if the Judiciary Committee is not going to figure it out, if the majority of the Judiciary Committee is not going to figure it out, would the majority on the House Administration Committee figure out who in fact invited? This individual came in here, disrupted an official proceeding of the committee, disrupted, if I remember correctly, Congressman Biggs' presentation during that markup. And we'd like to know. In fact, I asked not once, but twice during the hearing, the 12-hour hearing we had last week. We would still like it, to have an answer to that question. And it seems appropriate to me that the chair of the House Administration Committee is the person who should be able to get that information for the committee.
Well, I don't believe that the House Administration Committee is charged with investigating the various offices.
Simple question. It's simple to find out.
Let me just say, in the past, unfortunately, over the decades, there have been occasions when the committee proceedings have been disrupted by disorderly individuals who are then removed, as this individual was.
But those are different.
I have strong objection to anybody who would come in and disrupt the proceedings of the committee. If that happens, they will be removed.
But in the past, there wasn't the process in place that is in place now. Individuals do not get into a committee room now unless they are being met at the door of the Rayburn building by some official staff member from someone's staff and then escorted to the committee room. All we're asking is, who did that?
If I knew, I would be very pleased to tell you.
Well, we know you don't know because we haven't told us the answer to that, but we want you to find out.
Well,
I mean,
I appreciate your question, Mr. Jordan.
With all due respect, Madam Chair, your committee used official resources to put together a dossier on every single Republican social media post who happened to object to the electors on January 6th, even though Democrats objected every single time a Republican was elected president this century. If you can use official staff to do that on 100 and some members of Congress, we think you could find out the answer to a simple question. Who escorted this individual into this committee room who disrupted the committee?
As I said, I don't know who that person is.
Well, we hope we get an answer soon. This is the third time I've had to ask. And it's been a full week, and we get the same darn answer first from the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, now from the acting chair of the Judiciary Committee, who also happens to chair the House Administration Committee, and we get nothing but, we don't know. I would yield to the gentleman from North Carolina.
I appreciate the ranking member's courtesy in the way the gentleman has posed this question multiple times. And it has not resulted in an answer to the question. But it's really quite clear. All it would take is for the chairman now, or the actual chairman of the committee, to ask Democrats who let David Hogg into the committee room to disrupt. And the implication is quite clear of the fact that first Mr. Nadler and then now Ms. Lofgren have said, I don't know. They don't want to know. It's willful lack of knowledge. They don't care. And because it would be revealing as to how they're operating the committee.
Gentleman's time has expired. Who else seeks recognition?